Hi, I'm Phil Moore, filmmaker and author, and in these story analysis videos we take a look at one film in terms of its story structure, character and theme. Today we're looking at Get Out. Make sure you've seen the film, spoilers ahead. So Get Out was written and directed by Jordan Peele, his first movie, and it's kind of redefined the horror genre in many ways. Let's first look at the structure as I normally do. This is, as usual, a 3-act structure. The inciting incident, quite obviously, is when Chris is invited to spend the weekend with Rose's parents.
Do they know I'm black?
No. Should they?
While the inciting incident for the A plot is that opening sequence of the abduction of Andre, though we have no idea what that means yet. So the first act is their road trip there, interrupted briefly by a deer, hitting a deer, and then confronting a police officer.
Sir, can I see your license, please?
Wait, why?
Yeah, I have state ID.
No. He wasn't driving.
I didn't ask who was driving. I asked to see his ID.
We finally arrive at the parents' home, Bradley Whitford and Catherine Keener as mum and dad, and they welcome him quite readily.
Kid, you call me Dean and you're hungry, my man. How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
We're huggers.
We've had a few allusions to how open-minded they are, and how the fact that he's black, which the daughter has not told her parents about, is not going to be an issue.
By the way, I would have voted for Obama for a third term if I could. Best president in my lifetime, hands down.
I agree.
Yeah.
The first act turning point in this film comes when he is first hypnotized.
You think it was your fault? Sink into the floor.
Wait.
Sink.
Now, usually the first act turning point is the no going back moment, and that is what this is, a no turning back moment for him. But usually, also, this is the moment when something happens to the character and they make a choice to go on with the adventure, whatever that is. In this case, our character wakes up in bed and thinks the whole thing's basically a dream. He does start to remember that he was hypnotized by her, but he thinks it's all about getting him to give up smoking. And that's all it really came down to, despite the fact that he was kind of ambushed.
I think your mom hypnotized me last night.
What?
And I had some fucked up dreams.
To the extent that he does make a choice, the choice is to stick it out. Stay here. After all, it wasn't that big a deal, right? I do like, however, that his friend, Rod, the TSA agent, is saying what the audience is thinking all along. This is very unusual. This is weird. You should probably get out now.
I'm cured. It worked.
Bro, how you not scared of this, man? Look, they could have made you do all types of stupid shit. I don't know if you know this. White people love making people sex slaves and shit.
So the first half of Act 2 is when the guests arrive. And Chris is kind of guest of honor. Not that he realizes it. And there's some very unusual interactions with these people. They're all very friendly, of course, but in a very weird way.
You ever play golf?
Once. A few years ago. I wasn't very good.
I do know Tiger.
Oh, that's great.
Super.
Gordon loves Tiger.
The midpoint. After he meets the only other black man at this gathering, Andre, who behaves very strangely. But the midpoint really is when he secretly tries to take a photo of him. There's a flash, and that flash causes a reaction.
Get out. Sorry, man.
Okay.
Get out!
What the hell was that all about? That is the midpoint for Chris as a character in the B plot. The A plot, midpoint, is the auction. Second act turning point, which is generally a reflection of the first act turning point, which is when he was first hypnotized. The second act turning point is when he's finally taken the advice, seen the photos in the closet, and now doesn't even trust his girlfriend, and just wants to literally get out. But he needs the car keys, because as we've established,
The nearest house is across the lake. It's total privacy.
and the girlfriend can't find the keys until, of course,
Where are those keys, Rose?
You know I can't give you the keys, right, babe?
She's in on the whole thing. Mother just taps the glass. Because clearly at the first act turning point, a suggestion was implanted. End of Act 2. In both of these cases, the moment the hypnotism takes effect, we jump into the next act. Sometimes you'll find a sequence where it takes a while for the central character to make a choice, to make a decision, to move us into the next act. And in fact, very often at the second act turning point, the all is lost moment, there's often a debrief as the characters work out what to do next. And once they make a choice, we move into Act 3. Here, he doesn't have a choice to make. He's kidnapped, he wakes up down in the basement, we're in Act 3 already. Act 3 comes in two parts, the first part being when he's trapped in the chair, the second part once he escapes from the chair and escapes from the place.
How can I help you? Rod Williams from the TSA.
Something else that happens in Act 3 is we switch POV. We're no longer with Chris, and we spend quite a bit of time following Dan, his friend, as he tries to work out what's happened to Chris.
They're probably abducting black people, brainwashing them, and making them slaves, or sex slaves, not just regular slaves, but sex slaves of shit.
Here the A-plot is quite simply the cult that needs another young black man for their procedure. We don't find all this out properly until Act 3.
For Phase 3, the transplantation.
The first and second act turning points, which are the hypnotism moments, they are primarily A-plot and B-plot combined, which is a very elegant way of doing it, of course. They are A-plot in terms of getting him under their control, leading us to Act 3 ultimately, and B-plot in terms of will Chris get out of there? Can he get out of there? Can he trust any of these people? Can he even trust his girlfriend? Which at the second act turning point we find out he can't. So what is the lesson that this film is trying to teach our young protagonist, Chris? Does he grow and change? Well, not as much as you might in other films. In most horror films, it's simply a case of will they survive? Will they get out alive? What is the one thing in particular that Chris needs to get over? What's his fundamental flaw? Now, this is not as strong as in other films, but it's strong enough for the sake of this story, which is basically his memory of how his mother died, of the car accident, and him sitting at home alone watching TV. He tells this story to the mother at the first act turning point.
What did you do?
Nothing.
Nothing.
He doesn't really want to, but she pulls it out of him. And she can then use that against him because she realizes this is a deep-seated guilt that he bears. He talks about this again with the girlfriend.
1 hour went by, then 2, and 3. And I just sat there. I was just watching TV.
This comes back most tellingly in the second half of Act 3, as Chris is about to escape, about to drive away, and he hits the maid, Grandma. He has memories of his mother being left abandoned on the side of the road. And if only he had done something back then, maybe she would be alive today. He goes back, gets Grandma, puts her in the seat, and presumably is going to try and take her to a hospital or something. Bad idea. Which leads us to our final moment with Grandpa.
Get him, Grandpa.
And of course, we've established a nice setup and payoff here. As the buried consciousness of the original inhabitant of this body comes forward briefly. We see this 3 times, first with the maid.
Oh, no. 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 No, 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 no.
Then with Andre at the midpoint.
Get out!
And finally with Grandpa. So what's the theme for this film? There is obviously an undercurrent here of racism. That's what the film's about when it comes right down to it. But I think the theme is best expressed here.
Life can be a sick joke. One day you're developing prints in the dark room, the next day you wake up in the dark. Genetic disease.
Shit ain't fair, man.
Oh, you got that right. Shit ain't fair.
while the A-plot spine of the film is expressed in a TV commercial.
A mind is a terrible thing to waste.
One of the unusual things about this film is that everyone is racist. All the white people are racist, clearly, but also all the black people. They don't trust white people when it comes down to it.
I mean, I told you not to go in that house.
The only person who is not racist, you could argue, in this film, is Jim Hudson, the Stephen Root character. He wins the auction. He wants Chris's body, not because he wants his physicality, his speed, all of those other things that people brought up during the party.
White black people.
Who knows? You know, I could give a shit what color you are. No. I want your eye, man.
And he's the only person when they first meet who treats him like a normal human being, whose first impulse is not to deal with the race issue.
Ignorance.
Oh, all of them.
They mean well, but they have no idea what real people go through.
Everyone else is going to great pains to show how open they are, which in itself is a telltale sign. The other person, who appears to be much more open-minded and doesn't care about colour, is the girlfriend. But of course we find out at the second act turning point, it's all a big act from her. So if you look closely back at some of the earlier scenes with the girlfriend, in particular, there's two that I'd like to point out. The one with the cop at the beginning.
I didn't ask who was driving. I asked to see his ID.
Yeah, why? That doesn't make any sense.
Here.
No. Fuck that. You don't have to give him your ID because you haven't done anything wrong.
Now it looks like she's being very supportive. The cop's the one being racist after all, by making assumptions. But it's also, when you think back on it, she doesn't want a record of Chris having been in the car and being in this area. Because from her point of view, he's about to be disappeared after all. The other really subtle moment that I like is during the party, when this happens.
Okay.
Oh.
Not bad. Hey, Nielsen. So.
That little look that she gives us there could mean two things. It could mean, this is weird, what are these people doing? Or it could mean, settle down, you'll give the game away. So that's my take on Get Out. If you'd like to see more of these story analyses, you know what to do. And in fact, leave a comment if there's particular films you'd like me to look at. If you'd like to learn more about the filmmaking process and storytelling, check out my book here. My name is Phil. I'll see you next time.
What's the next move?
And don't ever say that I don't do nothing for you. All white girls. Oh, they get you every time.